I set 2 alarms, one on my BlackBerry and one on my clock, and I never use the clock one. The BlackBerry one is the one I use, and for whatever reason it just never worked today. So
3:20 in the morning is even early by CEO standards.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's amazing. I don't think I could do this full time, but it's once a month is quite it's very exciting actually. Thank you.
Good morning. What?
The Wall of Fame.
Miles.
I'm doing makeup. Come on. You don't no.
No.
I used to see it.
You have a makeup kiss now. Here, come and get sprayed. He doesn't need anything.
I need a ton. You have to
He has a
rid of my
Bahamas tan.
bags.
It's natural. Can I steal this one?
God bless makeup.
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Did I tell you that we have an MP coming on?
No.
He's the majority whip for David Cameron. So he'll be talking right off the bat about growth versus austerity. So they have a budget obviously in place. We, not so much. He used to be a partner at Apollo, and he represents his conservative number. Braintree. So he'll come on for the first segment, and then we'll have Bill Isaac.
To get his perspective on what's happening in Europe and what the UK thinks about its own prospects.
But also the idea that, where would you rather do business? So everybody's vying for the American CEO's business. President Obama is, the UK is, CFO is probably very happy being able to issue bonds at very cheap money. What's more accommodating to business? That's kind of the idea. And then we're also looking ahead to President Obama's speech tonight. At 5:20, Bill Isaac is coming on. He's a former chair of the FDIC.
Yep.
We're talking about the Durbin Amendment. So he thinks it should be repealed, but it's a joke. It was a waste of time. The swipe fees will only destroy small banks. Then at 5:30, we had Darren coming on to talk about M&A and what's appealing to you, what's appealing to him. At 5:40, we're talking about nuclear energy. It's part of this week-long series we have on energy, and today happens to be nuclear. And then at 5:50, we're talking about the day-ahead trading. I think it'll be JP Morgan's results. So.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, honey. See you in there.
I'm excited.
Brooks Newmark, who was supposed to be on with you here, actually the car took him to 30 Rock. So he'll be on from 30 close to it.
Oh, okay. I thought he was coming from the UK. Okay, great. Okay. Perfect.
No, I guess
He's the Apollo.
Yeah, former Apollo. Yeah, he's going to talk about Obama's speech, U.S. versus. Yeah.
What's amazing about business right now is the rapid rate of change of variables in business. And that's why CNBC has become so powerful, because it really is bringing global information from around the world, minute to minute, second by second, giving viewers instant access to the most salient information that's allowing investors to make decisions predicated on what's happening on a global basis.
15 seconds back.
Okay, that's good. Yep, I can hear that fine. Yep. Okay, should be good. Good morning, Ross. How are you today?
First, guys.
Hopefully, what'd you say?
All right, hold on one second.
Fine.
Welcome to the show. The headlines making news from around the globe.
Out of the United States, tackling that budget deficit. President Obama laying out his plan today to try and bring down the soaring national debt. Let's continue the conversation with Brooks Newmark. He's a member of parliament for Braintree. He joins us live out of 30 Rock this morning. And our guest host for the next hour is Miles Nadal. He is the CEO of MDC Partners. Good to see you this morning, gentlemen.
Great to be here. The greatest resilience right now is happening in the United States and then in emerging markets. But, Buffett said, I'm going to make a 10-year bet on America, and the American consumer has rebounded, and the greenback has been the most stable currency. Access to capital is still the very best in the United States. The economic growth happening in the United States is accelerating. So if you had to pick a place for us, we love America. What do you think is going to impact business confidence? Is it about the deficit, or is it about consumer spending, growth in GDP, and access to capital? I think it's the latter that's going to affect business confidence and business desire to invest and where they're going to put their dollars today.
And you're right, today.
Well, I have a question for you. You talked about smaller banks. I mean, from what I see in the smaller bank CEOs that I talk to, they're just trying to survive, let alone grow. And it seems to be death by 1,000 cuts, that there seems to be every week more and more small banks that are eliminated. When do we get to terra firma, where the small banks that are going to survive and then start to grow?
Well, the solution is to recognize that small banks are critical to our economy.
Buffett, you quoted before, said his trigger finger is itchy for more deals, and so is yours?
Well, yeah. I mean, we're being very bullish. There's $3 trillion of excess cash on the balance sheets of America. Average premium being paid is 40% premium. Texas Instruments paid a 78% premium. So when you have a low GDP growth environment, you've got very low interest rates, you've got the high yield market that's red hot, you know, average yields are less than 7%, huge flow of cheap capital in industries that aren't getting big revenue growth. Consolidation is the best way to increase, you know, overall growth and market share, and that's why you're seeing an acceleration of M&A activity.
Darren, for a smaller company, why did you want to incubate yourself basically in a bigger behemoth, so to speak, and not have the advantage of being a nimble black sheep company?
Sure. So we're talking about a lot of growth within the industry now. And so growth comes two forms, one of which is access to capital, the second of which is human capital as well. So financial access to capital within MDC and other places, there's a wealth of that. So it allows us to go into big initiatives such as spinning up internal organizations that we had on the roadmap a couple of years ago, and now we're able to do that fairly quickly. Other side of that is finding good talent. So getting the best people to come and work within the environments and incentivize them to stick around, you want to find places that attract those type of people. So MDC was a natural fit for KBSP and the Media Kitchen as part of that, because they had a wealth. It's where great talent lives, such as the motto that Miles walks around with. And then the second part of that is access to financials and
You should give him a raise.
He's the best. We think like a 31-year-old startup. Like, I mean, that is the mindset of the organization. So that could be the future,
a bigger company with a lot of black sheep, essentially, Rouse.
Yeah, I just want to ask the guys, Dan, you were talking there about access to capital, investing in human capital. Obviously, we're more interested in return on capital, and I'm particularly interested in the social media space here. I still don't know why we can value Facebook at the ridiculous valuations it's got, and even early-stage investors in Facebook have told me they can't work out a way to monetize Twitter. So talk to me about return on capital.
Sure. So looking at the social media space sort of in general, is the growth of social isn't going to come from the social companies in themselves. The growth of social is going to be social penetrating all the big media channels that are out there, such as television, print, radio, and out of home. So we talk about TV, and obviously it's hard to talk about it while you're on TV, but tune in as people watching shows. So can social bring back people to watching live television outside sporting events? And the folks that can unite sort of those different pieces and put them together are, we think, the winners for the future.
Joe, I have a question for you. People are expecting sort of $96 to $99 of earnings on the S&P. S&P's around $1,300. So you're talking about 13 times earnings or thereabouts. The market, by any historic standard, is very inexpensive. Why is it that the market doesn't have a clear direction and we're essentially flat for the year?
You know what, I think that's an excellent point.
And you're right, and it's such a precarious situation. I don't remember a quarter where so much was riding on these corporate profits and this earnings season. Joe, we appreciate your time this morning. Miles, always a pleasure. Thanks for being on as our guest host for the hour. That's going to do it for today's show.